Question 4. Why does existentialism make sense to you? The answer to question 4 really is pretty much the same as the answers to question 1 and question 2, and it boils down to evidence. From what I see around me in my day-to-day life, from what I see of the universe, from the way that it seems to work, I don't see any evidence for a guiding intelligence. I don't see the hand of God at work. If the universe was created for mankind to live in, if it was solely created for us, it certainly doesn't need to be as big as it is, and it certainly shouldn't be as dangerous as it is. So, because I don't believe there's any kind of guiding force, then that also means that there isn't any kind of intrinsic meaning behind anything in the universe. The only meaning that's there is the meaning that we human beings create. And as far as meaning and purpose and jumping to conclusions are concerned, I covered that in question 3. Now, the thing to bear in mind though is that just because my life is a blink in the vast sea of time and eternity, that doesn't mean that's unimportant to me, and it doesn't mean that the lives of the people I care about are unimportant either. The value that we as human beings place on things is what gives them their value. In the big scheme of things, it might mean nothing, but the fact that it's important to us is what makes it important. Question number 5. Of either faith, Islam or Christianity, which of these makes the most sense to you? You must pick one. Well, this is a bit like asking me to choose between two particularly nasty forms of execution. Would I rather be held underwater until I choke and drown, or would I rather be burned alive? I must pick one. I reckon that if I had to choose, then the less of the two evils would probably be Christianity, because that's the one that I'm more familiar with, and the teachings, at least in the scripture, seem to be focused on compassion and social responsibility. I don't know much about Islam, but what I do know, it does seem to be way more violent than Christianity in its basic tenets. And I've heard people say that Islam is all about peace and love, and if that's the case and I'm misjudging it, I apologise. I'm really just more familiar with Christianity, because obviously that's my background. Truth be told, neither of them make much sense to me. I really can't answer the question because it's flawed. Question number 6. Have you ever, even for a moment, believed in a god or gods? Yeah. When I was much younger, I was in the Cubs, I was in the Boy Scouts. Belief in God was a condition of joining those organisations. At school we had prayers and assembly every day, so I was indoctrinated fairly early on in life. But I also used to believe in Santa Claus when I was a kid. And I can even remember one Christmas Eve being really, really anxious when I was in bed because I couldn't go to sleep, and I really thought that Santa wasn't going to be visiting me if I was still awake. That belief produced an intense enough experience for me to be able to remember it more than 35 years on. The thing is that as I grew older and I got more experience and more knowledge about the world, I lost my belief in Santa Claus. And pretty much the same with God. I was never really much of a believer in the first place, probably because my father is also an atheist, and so the brainwashing didn't happen in my home environment. But yeah, I used to believe in God, but not anymore. Question number 7. If you die as an atheist, are you prepared to go to hell? I'm not really sure what you mean by this question. Do you mean, am I prepared as in martyring myself for principles of my belief, or actually lack of belief as an atheist, or am I somehow just ready? Have I steeled myself for the inevitable? I think that if I actually believed in hell, then I'd have to be pretty stupid not to want to avoid going there. It doesn't sound like the kind of place that you'd really want to spend eternity, which is pretty much, I think, the whole point of the concept of hell in the first place. atheism aside, Christianity's already got me marked out for hell anyway. One look at the username should give you a clue as to why. But none of this really matters to me because I don't believe in hell. If somebody came up to me and they said to me, well, you know, are you prepared to meet with the Wicked Witch of the West when you go to Oz? It would make about as much sense as this question. I don't believe in hell. It doesn't matter. Question number 8. Morality seems to change with the times in the atheist community. Why are morals so subjective within the atheist community? See, my little straw man detector has just been triggered by this question. Does atheist morality change with the times? Well, yeah, of course it does, absolutely. But that isn't true just for atheists, that's true of everybody. You go back a couple of 100 years and it was perfectly okay to own slaves and deny women the vote. Morality is subjective because it's based on our individual view of the world. If we see something or we learn something or we hear something that's incompatible with that view of the world, then we adapt our internal model and we adapt our morality. And the fact that we can actually change our opinions is a good thing. You know, if you've got a rigid, unswerving belief that you are 100% right 100% of the time, even if you're presented with evidence to the contrary, then that's fanaticism. And it doesn't matter if it's religious fanaticism or any other kind. If you stick to your guns regardless of any kind of evidence that's presented to you, then that's just irrational. Question number 9. Why, if you're an atheist, do you spend so much time speaking about religion, especially the Christian faith? Well, for my part, I think it's because I want to present the other side of the argument. I'm a great believer that people should be free to hold their opinions and beliefs as long as they don't actually harm anybody else with them. What I object to is being told that I'm unfit to adopt children or less of a person because of my sexual orientation, or that I should be denied certain rights all because of something that's written down in a book of bizarre old folk tales. And let's be really clear about this, that's all they are. If there was no Bible at all and you tried to sell this book to a publisher today, they would just laugh you out of the office. You know, there's plot holes, there's lack of credibility for any kind of suspension of disbelief, it's badly written, it's poorly thought out, and some of it is really just plain monstrously offensive. And yet, some people feel that they can use it to judge me and condemn me. You know, all I'm trying to do is just present a rational argument to counterbalance superstitious claptrap. Question number 10. Why does so many of your interests, art and entertainment, centre around human suffering and tragedy? Does this reflect an inner turmoil because of the absence of God? Well, not only is this question a little bit baffling because I'm not really that familiar with the idea of atheist art, but I think it's another one of your straw man questions. Because have you ever actually stopped and taken a look at any of the art that's been inspired by Christianity? That poor bastard who's nailed up there on a cross, he doesn't look like he's enjoying himself too much. And all the other art that I've ever seen about saints and hell doesn't look like party time either. Most of the religious art that I've seen is little more than snuff porn with either thorns and blood everywhere or dead babies with wings. I mean, what's your point?